Hello, I'm back, and this is a video where I'm just answering a few questions that were left on my last vid and telling you what's coming up for the rest of this week and talking about what I've been playing and covering a topic that is near and dear to my heart because I am a retro gamer. I have quite a few retro systems, and explain my stance on retro gaming and emulation and how they are not equal. So stay tuned for a decent length video. Okay then, we're here. Before I get started, I'm just going to tell you what I've been playing as of late. Because even though I have Mario Kart and I've been playing quite a bit of that, I cannot play that for long periods of time. I can play Mario Kart for like an hour, and then I need a break. And what do I do to cleanse my palate? What do I play to kind of, cleanse my palate of the Mario Kartness? One of the greatest games ever made of all time for the GameCube and Wii. Metroid Prime Trilogy, baby. Metroid Prime Trilogy. Now, I got this off of Amazon.com. I ordered it off of Amazon.com, and it was $60, and I was like, wow. Like, at the time, I was like, that's really expensive, because most of the Wii games just by themselves were $50, $49.99. Then I realized, look, I hadn't, to my chagrin, I hadn't played Metroid. I had played the demo unit when Metroid Prime came out. I was like, I was one of those people, I do not want to play a 3D Metroid. And then Echoes came out, I was like, I don't want to play a 3D Metroid. And then I finally, when the Wii came out and there was like a there was a drought, there was like nothing really to play, and I played Metroid Prime Corruption, I realized, hey, this game is really fun. So then I played Metroid Prime, so then I played the hell out of Corruption, enjoyed the hell out of it, and then when I heard they were going to make a trilogy that had the other two games, I was like, okay, now that I've played Corruption, I'm going to have to go back and play the other ones. But I didn't want to, it was, Nintendo games don't lose their value. Even Metroid Prime, the original and Metroid Prime Echoes were still kind of expensive. They were like $39.99 each. So I got this instead, and I'm basically paid $60 for all three games. I have one, Metroid Prime Corruption, which I think I did something with it, but so I got this. Now at GameStop they charge $89.99 for this. I got it for $60 even, plus shipping and handling. No, I had Prime at the time, so I didn't pay shipping and handling. So plus tax, so it was like 62 something. This is, even if it's at GameStop, this is an excellent buy. I've been playing it on my wonderful big screen in my man cave in my basement, enjoying the hell out of it. I mean, really enjoying the hell out of it. This game is good. It's a hard act to follow this trilogy, which is why I don't feel too bad. I understand what Other M was trying to do, but it's hard to follow this shit up with anything. With that said, let's go into our questions. Our first question today comes from DaMarcus Butler. This was done on a video where I was talking about Mario Kart 8. Yeah, Mario Kart 8. I have a three-part question. No trolling, I just want to hear your opinion about it. Let's make believe that Sony is down for the count. PlayStation along with them, because I don't think they will spin it off or sell it to another company. 1. Do I believe that third parties could survive with just Microsoft? 2. Do I believe that Nintendo should avoid third parties at all costs? And 3. How many more studios will shut down after Sony's demise, after witnessing what's been happening during the 7th gen? DaMarcus Butler, those are all very good questions, and I'll answer them starting with the first one. Do I believe that third parties could survive with just Microsoft? They could, but here's the thing. if Sony leaves, if Sony left the hardware market, third parties would have to basically just either go solely Microsoft. Microsoft would no longer have the need to money hat. It would be like Sega and Nintendo. They'd have to put their games on all consoles just so that they could make money. Microsoft could stop money hatting because it's like, oh, fuck you. The balance of power would shift from third parties when it comes to Western, to Microsoft and Sony, back to the hands of the console manufacturer. Which is the way it really should be. I mean, this bullshit where people are like, oh, third parties, whatever they say, or what want, will do. You know, and the reason it's like this is because Sony's first-party IPs are hit and miss, and Microsoft's first-party IPs, while very good, the ones that they really put their strength behind, are like, there's a very small pool of them. Like I think Microsoft only has 2 or 3 first-party IPs that really boost, that really get people into. So there's Halo, Forza, which is, it doesn't really get, and Gears of War. That's it. Those are their 3 primary first-party IPs. And you know, if you don't like dude bro shooters like Gears of War or Halo, then I mean, or Forza, they have nothing for you. Now, which is why they money hat third-party exclusives and get like timed exclusivity and stuff like that, because that gives them their edge. Sony's IPs, despite what many Sony fans will tell you, are kind of like hit and miss. For every Uncharted, there's like 2 or 3 Quantic Dream bombs with starring Daniel Defoe and Ellen Page. So you know, I mean, it changes. Sorry for the interruption. I'll be right back. Okay then. I'm back. I'm sorry. Phone rang. So I hope that answers your first one. Your second one is, do I believe that Nintendo should avoid third parties at all costs? No, I don't. But here's the thing, okay? I think that Nintendo shouldn't avoid third parties at all costs. I think they should focus on themselves first, okay? And I know that sounds terrible, but here's the thing, okay? Look. We've seen third-party games come to the Wii U and sell relatively well. Zombie U sold relatively well. Lego Batman 2 sold relatively well. Lego Marvel sold relatively well. Call of Duty Ghost sold relatively well on the Wii U. You know, if you give us a decent effort, I'm not saying you have to go above and beyond, but a decent effort, your game will sell relatively well. I'm not saying that you need to spend, you know, $500 million on a Wii U title exclusively, but you can make a decent Wii U game and not give us garbage. The thing is that Nintendo, I mean, as a Nintendo gamer, like primary, because my primary console is my Nintendo console. I haven't touched my PS3 for quite a bit. You know, if you're not going to give us a decent effort on putting a game on our console, I see no reason why we should buy your game. Like, believe it or not, Batman Arkham City Armored Edition was really good. Arkham Origins was garbage compared to Arkham City Armored Edition. And I'm shocked because the same team that made Arkham Origins made Arkham City Armored Edition. So I don't know. So, you know, I mean, basically, I don't think Nintendo should ignore third parties. They should ignore the third parties who basically give shitty games. So EA can go suck you know what. Can go suck a you know what. You know, Ubisoft with their, I mean, Splinter Cell was a joke. They delayed Rayman Legends to port it to every other console. Sniper Elite V2 was a piece of garbage. I mean, I don't see the point. I don't see the point to do that. I don't see the point in just bowing. Basically, if you are a third-party developer and you want to give a decent effort to the Wii U, then go for it. I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, but don't give us a garbage game and act surprised when it doesn't sell and then be like, well, I guess people don't. No, I don't want to play a bad game on my system, okay? Forgive me, I'm spoiled. I don't want to play shitty games. So that should answer your question. Your third and final question is how many more studios will shut down after Sony's demise after witnessing what's been happening during the 7th gen? I think we're going to see some more studios close because the current model of spending, you know, millions of dollars on on making a game and therefore having to sell, you know, millions of copies, that no. No. Like, cause here's the thing, okay? I'm gonna break it down for you, okay? Some way that you can understand. I own a business, okay? I know I have to spend a certain amount of money every week in order to operate my business, just for the bare minimum, just to keep the lights on, the drinks, the taps full, the water running, you know, my games in good shape. I have to spend X amount of money every week, which equals X amount of money every month, which means, you know, during my fiscal year, which my fiscal year just started last month, because I don't really get busy until the summer. Late spring, early summer. So that's when I start making my real money, and that continues till around Christmas, and then it starts to die down a little bit around winter because people don't want to go out and play video games and to stay inside. But like, you know how much money you need in order to do X, Y, Z. But the thing is like a lot of game developers, they're like development studios and publishers too, are putting way too much energy and effort into things that really, in the grand scheme of things, should not matter. Like, you shouldn't need to spend $60 million on a graphical engine to spend $15 million on a graphical engine. Like, if PS4 and Xbox One games just stuck with, like, Unreal 3, I mean, and it was a heavily modified Unreal 3, they wouldn't need to spend money on the newest Unreal 4 engine, which is really expensive. I mean, that's money. They have to license it. You don't own the engine, you license it. Like, you license Norton, or you license McAfee, or you license whatever. And that's a pain in the ass. That being said, spending that type of money, in my opinion, is kind of a pain in the ass, and I would advise against it. It's unsustainable. The current model is unsustainable. Believe it or not, the Wii U is poised. If a lot of third parties stuck their head from out of their ass, the Wii U is poised to be one of the most third-party friendly consoles this gen, because first of all, it isn't it's not ultra powerful, so you don't have to spend a huge amount of money to make games look nice on the system. You just need to understand the architecture. Second of all, the system, I mean, you can use different graphical engines relatively easy on the system. Unity, C++, Unreal, you know. Apparently, you can use the Crysis engine on it, but EA got to stick up their butt over it. So basically, I mean, if third parties really, you know, wanted to not spin an arm and a leg and make a decent game for the console, they could. But the thing is like, Nintendo isn't going to pay them to do their job. You know, because that's not how video gaming used to work. Nintendo's old school like that. Like, they aren't going to pay you to do your job. Like, you produce a product, you sell the product, you get a cut of the proceeds. That's how you make money in the gaming industry. Now it's like This is why Microsoft is having an issue with EA right now, is because basically Microsoft paid, they money had it, Titanfall and Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare to be Xbox exclusives. Thing is, like, they paid for the development of that game, they paid for all of it to be made, and EA had no risk in making it. And so now that it hasn't sold that well, the exclusivity deal has run out, they're going to take those games and move them over to the PS4 and PS3. So, I mean, the person who shouldered all the risk got none of the benefit, which was Microsoft. And that's why it's stupid to money hat games. And that's why a lot of third parties just don't want to get on board with Nintendo. And that's why the current model of just, you know, that's why a lot of studios are shutting down, because they can't afford to compete with each other. Like these big grandiose ass systems. Like, okay, Watch Dogs was shown at E3 2012. It looked gorgeous, even though, like, and it's had a significant graphical downgrade. Why? Because when you play on the Xbox One or the PS4, you're playing on essentially a heavily modified gaming laptop, and gaming laptops are never going to be as powerful as a gaming desktop. Okay, it's not. They're just not. Different OS systems, different targeting capabilities. It's just not. And like, the studios have gotten into this destructive circle where they focus on graphical fidelity and building these huge expansive worlds and like things that cost a lot of resources to build. Resources means a lot of time means a lot of money, and they have to sell like millions of copies. And the thing is like, not every game, like, okay, Mario Kart 8 is going to sell very well. Most of Nintendo's games are long distance sellers. Like they'll reach 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million over their lifetime. I mean, I'm pretty sure that once the Wii U's life cycle is done, there's still going to be some people buying Mario Kart 8, okay? Which tells you something about how their shit sells. But not every game that's sold is going to be like that. Hope that answered all your questions, DaMarcus Butler. We will go to our next question from GoditoZ. Hi, Mr. Red Fox. I just watched Michael Pachter's assumptions for E3, and he explicitly stated he believes in the PS4 and he owns a lot of stock from Sony. Kaz Hirai is an excellent CEO and that he will turn things around. Will this be considered bias? It is bias and it isn't bias. Like, here's the thing, okay? Michael Pachter gets paid by game trailers to do his little whatever. He gets money for that. So you can already consider anything he has to say is bias, okay? Because he's getting paid to say what he needs to get said. Now, if you want to hear something unbiased, go find someone who's not getting paid by anyone to say what they want to say. Like many people around YouTube, the smaller YouTubers, and they'll say whatever the fuck they want to whatever the heck they want to, because I have no one bankrolling me. I say what I want to say. I have a partialness towards Nintendo, but if Nintendo did something that was really effed up, I'd talk about it too. But Michael Pachter, okay, when you own stock in something, I have a portfolio. I have a Roth IRA. When you own stocks in something, of course you want your stocks to do well. No one wants their stocks to go just tank, because this is your retirement you're talking about. In regards to Kaz Hirai turning Sony around, okay, there's only 3 ways that Kaz Hirai can turn Sony around. And all of them are going to mean that Sony's going to take a massive hit in their stock portfolios. They're either going to have to declare bankruptcy, their stock's going to take a huge hit. They're going to get rid of their debt. get it basically wiped off. But then their lending, their borrowing status is going to go to shit. So Sony is going to have to fire a lot of people and close, like, get rid of a lot of even more branches than they have now. The second way is that they're going to have to do a controlled contraction, which basically means they're going to fire a lot of people and save their own asses, and get rid of the non-profitable divisions and keep the profitable ones. The problem with Sony is that at any given time, one division can be doing well and 3 or 4 can be doing terribly, and it's like, it's kind of difficult to see where it's going to go. The third and final way Sony can save itself is if someone came in, and basically if they really got some people in charge who were really good at crisis management. But the thing is like, the issues that Sony faces were sown 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. What you're seeing now is stuff that was done 15, 20 years ago. And like continuously done. And as a stockholder, you know, Sony isn't even up front and straight with its own stockholders. Like, which is why I really don't believe jack when it comes to their earnings statements, because it's a known fact that Sony likes to double account, which is where you basically have 2 sets of accounting books, where you have what you want people to think you earn and then what you actually earn. Double accounting is very useful when you're doing shady things. Normally, when you want your company that's really weak to look strong, you make the numbers that you show everyone in public look really strong. You make your numbers, your real accounting that you use to actually run your business, could be substantially lower. Sony has been doing that for quite some time, so I don't trust anything that they have to say. The other way that they could be showing off is you make your company seem really weak and actually it's a lot stronger in your double accounting. But Sony's the first one, not the second one. Their accounting is, I don't trust a thing Sony says. Someone says, like, Sony has a earnings and leave statements. They said they sold 7 million PS4s. They may have shipped 7 million PS4s, because I can tell you right now, I'm seeing a lot of PS4s turning up at GameStops. And not just at GameStop. There are 2 mom and pop smaller game stores that I do a lot of business with, because I am a retro gamer, which will be our main topic after this question section ends, which is getting kind of long, I'm sorry. And they have a lot of returned PS4s that they've bought, and they sell a few of them, but I mean, I don't trust Sony's numbers. I'm sorry. You know, they have a history of lying and obfuscating, i.e. using misdirection in order to make things seem different than they actually are. And so I don't trust their numbers. I do not trust their numbers. Like, they said that the PS4 division, that the PlayStation division was profitable, and it lost $49 million. Which, I mean, if you're still losing money, then how the heck are you profitable? I mean, I own a business. I can't say, oh, I'm profitable. I lost $500,000 this year, but I'm profitable. That makes no sense. That's stupid. That's business 101. I hope that answers your question. Basically, Michael Pachter is saying this stuff because he's getting paid to say it, and there's a bias. There's an obvious biasness there. He also a lot of it is wishful thinking. He just really wants, I mean, you know, I don't want to see Sony go bankrupt. I mean, if they don't make some major changes, they will. I don't think Kaz Hirai is the right CEO for what Sony's going through. Sony needs someone who's going to they need like a Yamauchi, basically. Sony needs a Yamauchi. They need someone who's going to come in there and kick ass and take names, and he doesn't give a damn what people think. They don't need Mr. Kaz Hirai, I want to be everyone's friend, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and we must maintain the outer appearance of our company, because maintaining appearances is what got Sony into this mess. Because if you aren't making the money to maintain your appearance, you wind up like Sony. So I hope that answered all your questions. We will get into emulation. Retro gaming does not equal emulation. Okay, then we're back, and this is the retro versus emulation portion. Now, before I get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my retro gaming history. Okay, and I'm just gonna. This is just off the top of my head. These are just the systems and games that I have. I'll go for the system first, and then I'll tell you the game. I have the NES. I don't have a huge amount of games for my NES or its Japanese counterpart, the Famicom, and the disc system for the Famicom. I have all three. Matter of fact, there's an interesting story as to how I got my Famicom. When I spent 6 months abroad in Japan, a friend of mine, his friend, was, now they called them shut-ins. Back then they called a loser who just would not go out and get a girlfriend. So he would never come outside, and he never did anything. Like, if you wanted to see him, you had to go to his house. And he had this massive collection of games, like Sega Saturn, and Sega Genesis, and Nintendo stuff, and like stuff that I'd never seen before. MSX 3800, and TurboGrafx, like 3 TurboGrafx, and like 3 Famicoms, and Famicom disc system, and he had the disc drive for the 64. But his parents were getting mad at him because he just had so much junk, and you know, I mean, he did schooling from home, correspondence-wise, but his parents were just getting, so they were pressing him to sell some of his collection. And so for $50, I got his Famicom from him in like 10 games. And I remember, like, I was gonna give him yen, but he just wanted $50. I don't know. But so I've got like about 20 Famicom disc games and like 13 NES games. I only have 3 duplicates between the two. I have a Japanese little Samsung for my Famicom, so yeah, one of the rarest carts ever. I got that shit. So I mean, and that's not counting, so Famicom and NES and the Famicom disc system. My old NES recently died like a year ago. Well, yeah, about a year ago, 8 months. So I have a top-loading NES that I bought from a mom and pop place that I basically get a lot of my older stuff from. So I mean, I got the NES's and the Famicom. I have the SNES and the Super Famicom. I have the N64, which was not region locked, I don't believe. Just a lot of shit just was not released here in America. I have the GameCube, obviously, the Wii, and the Wii U. Those are just the home consoles. I also have the technically portable Game Boy, Virtual Boy. I have the Game Boy, Virtual Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced, DS, and 3DS. Those are just my Nintendo consoles. Non-Nintendo consoles, and like I have a decent amount of games for all of those, except for the Game Boy. The Game Boy, I have a huge amount of games for my Game Boy. The largest collection I have. I have a box underneath my stairs just with Game Boy stuff. Ooh, way too much shit in there. So, I mean, and that's just Nintendo stuff. I have a Sega Nomad, a Sega Genesis, a Master System, a Sega Genesis slash CD Duo thing. It's the two things together. I have the Sega Dreamcast. I never got the Saturn. I'm sorry. I know I'm terrible with a 32X because I didn't. That's too many wires. Too many wires hanging out of my TV, because the only TV that I have that's old enough to play that stuff is in my spare bedroom over there, which, right there, that door next to the pillar, that's the spare bedroom. So, as you can probably guess, I mean, one TV, and it's like a small TV, it's only about yay big. It's And so I don't play as many retro games as I used to when I had an old piece of shit TV that could play that stuff perfectly. It was a large, big screen floor model, wooden, looked like a piece of furniture. You know what I'm talking about, you old school gamers. You know what I'm talking about. And then when that died, it just died one day. I had to go and get a little shitty TV to play those games, and it looks a lot. It's not as awesome as having a big screen, but whatever. So anyway, so let's see. Sega Master got to the Sega things. Dreamcast. I acquired like a year ago an MSX 3800, which is what originally had Snatcher and stuff like that on it. It's a pretty fun game. I have a TurboGrafx CD Duo, so it plays the cue cards and the CDs. And I wanted to get a Sega Genesis Master System that also played the cue card Genesis games, but every time I try to get one, it's like $500. So I'm like, no, that ain't happening. Let's see. I have a Wonder Swan, a Neo Geo Pocket, PS1, PS2, PS3. The only console manufacturer who I don't have any of their systems is Microsoft, because fuck Microsoft. But with that said, and I have a decent amount of games for all of those except for the Sonys. I have over 100 games for each of those consoles except for the PS3. It's well over 400, including digital download. So basically, I am a huge retro gamer. Or at least I used to be when I was living in my parents' house and had a huge amount of free time. Now, it's just a pain to pull everything out and hook everything up and do it all over again. It's just too much. It's too much BS involved. Which leads me to my main point. Okay? Emulation is like the third or fourth tier version of playing a video game. Okay? It's like the lesser portion. It's the equivalent to emulation is like watching a movie. Emulation is like watching a movie that was in the movie theater. It's like watching Jurassic Park on TV. Okay? It's the same movie as what was in the theater, but the experience is not there. Okay? You know, it's not the same. It's just not the same. I tend to stay away from emulation because a lot of people like to pretend like, well, it's equal as someone who actually has the console. No, it isn't. Okay? I'm sorry. You know, taking your NES game and blowing in the thing and putting the thing back in and playing it on the actual NES controller, that's a completely different experience than playing a game on a friggin' on your computer. Okay. I mean, not that I'm knocking emulation, because there are some times where emulation is acceptable. For example, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you were to let's say hypothetically speaking. Well, no, I'm not even going to say hypothetically, because I've done this. I have like 3 NES carts that they were starting to die. So the connections. So what I did is that I used a flash reproduction cart, which basically you just you put the NES cartridge in there. It creates a copy. And then you take that and you put it on a SD card like this. Like this. Put it on an SD card. And you put it inside of a you put that inside of a you put the SD card inside of a inside of an EverDrive or whatever, what have you, and you can play you can play your games on the EverDrive. Now, at the time, I didn't have an EverDrive, but if I mean, I could play it on an N64 emulator because I have an N64. I have the game, so legally, I can do that. No one's gonna be like, "Oh, you emulated." If you have a game like, you know, NES cartridges tend to last a long time. The only cartridges that I've had, both for like Genesis and N64, cartridges that I've had that like kind of have started to come apart are shitty ones made by Western companies. So really shitty games. Like, I have a friend, he has the Sega Genesis version of Shaq Fu, and that cart is just a piece of garbage. But my point is this, you know, if you actually own the cart and the system that it's played on, then you can emulate your hearts out because technically you have it. But if you, like, technically in order for it to be legal, you have to actually rip it yourself and not distribute it to others, because then that's piracy, not emulation. Then there is, you know, if a game is just beyond your financial means, and I don't mean like it's normal retail, I mean like Earthbound. Now, I have Earthbound for my SNES, including that big-ass thing with the scratch things that smell funky. They still smell pretty bad now, but it's because they were scratched so much that just what's left is like the really stinky ones. You know, Earthbound is like 350, like, no, it's higher than that. It's like $500 now. You could buy an Xbox One and 2 games for that much money. So if you want to download, Earthbound, or, you know, I mean, you could spend $9.99 and get it. You can spend $10 and get it on the Virtual Console. But if you absolutely have to have it and you don't have money for it, download it. If there's no other way you can get it, or if a game was just never released in America, like it was just never released. It was never ever released. Or if you want to play a hack or something like that, then, you know, I can understand why you'd want to play those types of games. Emulation can be acceptable, but the thing is like, before you say, this retro gamer has said emulation is acceptable, let's take the BS out of this, okay? Most people who play on emulators don't own the original system, don't own the original game, and just download this shit because they're bored and they don't want to actually go and do that stuff. And like I said, it's about the experience. It's kind of like buying a bootleg movie is not the same thing as going to a movie theater and watching it. It's not the same thing. Buying a, ripping music, ripping music and listening to a CD is not the same thing as going to a concert. They're two totally different experiences. The experience is completely different in retro gaming than it is in emulation. You know, the SNES controller, oh, it feels so good in your hands. The Genesis controller feels okay in your hands. Your cartridges, putting the cartridge in and blowing into, I mean, there's a whole culture around it that you just can't understand if you haven't actually played with the physical media. But like I said, there are some exceptions, which I just stated, like Terranigma never came out in the US. Came out in Australia and Papua New Guinea and the Pacific territories. Never came out in America. Fully translated into English, never came to America. So if you download that, I could understand. Or, I have the Japanese version of Super Castlevania 4. The Japanese version is superior to the US version. They're both good, but the Japanese version doesn't have as much, what's the word I'm looking for? Censorship. And, the blood is still blood, not turned into green slime. It's a very fun game. That's all I'm saying, but don't, so if you really want to have the experience, I would advise, if you don't want to spend, get a Retron and actually start collecting the games. If you absolutely have to emulate, at least find a USB controller that emulates, that's close to what was actually used to play that game. So then you at least get some of that experience. And on that note, I bid you adieu.